Have you ever felt like you are losing your mind during a simple conversation with someone? It is not your imagination failing you. It is likely a calculated strategy designed to keep you off balance. What if you could spot a manipulator in the time it takes to check your phone? You deserve clarity and empowerment instead of feeling controlled by someone else's hidden, toxic agenda. Manipulators are like invisible architects, building a mental prison around you one conversation at a time. Why does a simple no feel like a declaration of war when dealing with certain people? Have you ever left a conversation feeling guilty, even though you were clearly the innocent victim? These toxic patterns rely on your confusion, but today we are finally pulling back the heavy curtain. We are exposing 5 specific tricks that manipulators use to gain control over your every thought. You will learn how to identify these dangerous individuals in under 60 seconds of interaction. Once you master these signs, you can protect your peace and reclaim your personal power instantly. No more second-guessing your reality or falling for the subtle traps of a calculated guilt trip. We will explore how gaslighting works to make you question your own memory and basic sanity. You will see how they use isolation to cut you off from the people who truly care. Discover why a backhanded compliment is actually a weapon used to chip away at your self-esteem. Watch for the moment they start victim playing to flip the script and avoid any real accountability. Setting firm boundaries is your greatest defense against those who thrive on emotional and mental control. This journey is about moving from confusion to clarity so you can finally breathe easy again. You have the strength to see the truth and the right to live without constant manipulation. But to spot them that fast, you first have to understand the why behind the mind games. To protect yourself, you need a reliable way to spot a manipulator before they gain total control. This is where the test boundary becomes your most powerful tool for immediate and undeniable clarity. You can identify a manipulator in under 60 seconds once you learn these specific psychological tricks. It starts by setting a small, harmless boundary to see exactly how the other person will react. Watch closely, because a manipulator views any limit you set as a direct challenge to their dominance. When you say no, a healthy person respects your choice without making you feel like a villain. However, those who use manipulation will immediately shift their energy to make you feel guilty or wrong. Their reaction happens almost instantly, revealing their true intentions through subtle but consistent physical cues. You might notice their face suddenly change as their mask of kindness begins to slip away. Some will fall into a heavy silence, using quietness as a weapon to make you feel uncomfortable. Others might let out a long, dramatic sigh to signal that your boundary is a massive burden. These physical cues are involuntary leaks that expose their need to control your every single move. Within that first minute, their frustration with your boundaries tells you everything you need to know. They might attempt a quick guilt trip to pressure you into taking back your simple request. If you notice these shifts, you are witnessing the early stages of a dangerous cycle of isolation. A simple test reveals if they are actually listening or just waiting for you to submit. This 60-second rule works because manipulators cannot hide their true nature when their desires are denied. Pay attention to whether they use a backhanded compliment to undermine your confidence in that moment. They might pivot to victim playing, acting as though your boundaries are an attack on their character. This reaction is a massive red flag that gaslighting and psychological control are soon to follow. By observing these immediate physical responses, you reclaim your power and protect your own mental peace. Recognizing these 5 tricks early allows you to walk away before the emotional damage is done. Remember, your boundaries are not negotiable, and anyone who hates them is likely trying to control you. Mastering this quick test gives you the superpower to spot toxic patterns before they even begin. You deserve relationships built on mutual respect rather than constant manipulation and hidden psychological games. Before we get to the specific tricks, you need to see the blueprint behind their control. They aren't just being difficult. They are training you to forget who you really are. Every guilt trip is a lesson in how to give up your life to serve theirs. When was the last time you put your needs first without feeling a wave of panic? Do you ever wonder if it is real love or just an invisible psychological leash? Manipulators use guilt trips specifically to punish you whenever you try to set a healthy boundary. Having a life of your own feels like a crime when someone is constantly victim playing. This isn't an accidental reaction. It is a calculated response to your growing independence and strength. It is like Pavlov's dog, but instead of a bell, they use your empathy against you. They are conditioning you to say yes in the future just to avoid that crushing feeling. You start compromising your values because the weight of their disappointment is too much to bear. Through subtle gaslighting, they make your legitimate needs look like an act of extreme selfishness. A simple boundary becomes a weapon they use to justify their own dramatic emotional outbursts. They might even use a backhanded compliment to remind you how much you truly owe them. Isolation follows closely behind as they punish you for spending time with anyone but them. Each time you cave in, the manipulator learns that their guilt trip is working perfectly. Soon, you stop asking for what you need because you already know the emotional price. Your life begins to shrink until it only exists within the narrow limits they allow. This training is designed to make their comfort your primary responsibility at all times. Recognizing this pattern is the first step toward breaking the invisible chains they have placed. You are not a bad person for wanting a life that belongs entirely to you. Every time you say no, you are reclaiming a piece of the identity they stole. Now that you know the why, let's look at the first weapon they use. This weapon is designed to break your will before you even realize it is happening. Trick number 1 is the most common, and it starts the moment you try to set a limit. In a healthy world, no is a full sentence, but for a manipulator, it triggers a theatrical performance. Have you ever noticed why saying no suddenly feels like you have committed a serious, unforgivable crime? Normal people typically accept your boundaries without turning the entire conversation into a massive, complicated issue. When you decline a request from a healthy person, they respect your choice and move on quickly. However, the manipulator views your no as a direct challenge to their absolute authority and control. They immediately deploy the first trick, making you feel guilty for simply standing your own ground. The moment you refuse, you might see their face shift into a mask of deep, exaggerated disappointment. This sudden change in expression is a calculated move designed to make you feel instant, overwhelming regret. Then comes the silence, a cold, heavy weight that fills the room until you feel forced to speak. Have you noticed how they get quiet the very moment they do not get exactly what they want? This silence isn't a reflection of their pain. It is a weapon used to pressure you into folding. If the silence doesn't work, they might unleash a heavy, dramatic sigh that echoes through the room. That heavy sigh is a psychological siren designed to make you rush to fix a non-existent problem. These physical cues are just the beginning of the assault on your mental and emotional boundaries. Once the atmosphere is tense enough, they will start using specific, weaponized phrases to break you down. You might hear them say, "I guess I will just have to do it all by myself." This phrase is a classic guilt trip, intended to make your reasonable boundary look like cold-hearted abandonment. They want you to feel responsible for their burden, even if you never agreed to carry it. Another frequent weapon in their verbal arsenal is the sharp, stinging phrase, "I thought we were friends." By questioning your loyalty, they distract you from the fact that they are disregarding your personal needs. This is victim playing at its finest, turning your simple no into a betrayal of your relationship. They are not truly hurt. They are using your empathy as a handle to pull you back. This psychological dance is meant to make you retract your boundary, just to stop their manufactured pain. If their face changes the second you say no, they aren't hurt, they're actually just recalculating. In that brief moment of silence, they are looking for the best way to rewrite your reality. Recognize these cues early so you can remain firm when the guilt trip begins to roll in. Remember that a boundary isn't an attack on them, even if they pretend it feels like one. Stay focused on your truth, because their performance is only effective if you choose to believe it. Now that you see the performance, let's look at how they escalate when guilt tripping fails. Have you ever been 100% sure of a memory, only to have someone deny it ever happened? You remember the words clearly, yet they look you in the eye and say you are simply mistaken. This brings us to trick 2, the most effective way to make you lose your grip on what is real. When guilt fails to control you, a manipulator will escalate by attacking your very perception of the world. They move from attacking your emotions to dismantling the foundation of everything you know to be true. The second trick of manipulation is the calculated act of changing the story of past events. It is a subtle shift at first, but it quickly becomes a total reconstruction of your personal history. Psychological experts call this gaslighting, a term describing a deliberate and dangerous form of lying. Gaslighting is the act of lying on purpose to confuse you and make you doubt your own memory. They want you to question your sanity until you can no longer trust your own physical senses. This manipulation is like someone painting over your windows and telling you it is night at noon. That is how gaslighting feels as they slowly replace your lived experiences with their own fabricated lies. Does their version of the story always seem to change whenever it helps them win an argument? Manipulators rewrite history constantly, using whatever version of the story helps them in the current moment. They are not simply misremembering the facts. They are weaponizing them to maintain a position of power. If you can no longer trust your own memory, who are you eventually forced to trust instead? This systematic confusion results in you depending on the manipulator to tell you what is actually true. You become a prisoner in a reality where they are the only ones allowed to hold the keys. By creating this dependency, they ensure you will never leave because you feel completely lost without them. Every time they change the past, they are tightening their grip on your future and your identity. They will deny their own promises and then blame you for being too sensitive or having an imagination. This constant shifting of the ground beneath your feet is designed to make you feel completely broken. You start to wonder if your mind is failing you while they sit back and watch you struggle. It is a heavy, suffocating weight that makes you feel like you are disappearing into their false narrative. This toxic cycle of confusion is how they keep you locked in their control and under their thumb. Recognizing these patterns is the first vital step toward reclaiming your truth and your mental freedom. You must realize that your memories are valid and their lies are just tools used for control. Do not let their shifting stories become the foundation of how you see the world or yourself. Your reality is worth fighting for, even when they try to paint over the truth with lies. Once they have made you doubt your mind, they will make you feel like you are the one hurting them. You go to them with your hurt, but somehow you end up being the one apologizing. The third trick is the victimhood flip, and it's a masterclass in avoiding responsibility. This manipulation tactic involves playing the victim the moment you call them out for their behavior. Instead of listening, they use tears or explosive anger to divert the focus away from you. They might claim you always think the worst of them, turning your pain into their persecution. Why is their reaction suddenly more important than the original pain you were trying to share? Suddenly, you find yourself comforting the person who hurt you instead of being hurt yourself. Your valid concern is buried under their emotional drama, leaving your needs completely ignored and forgotten. Think of it like a smokescreen designed to blind you while they escape accountability. They set a fire, and when you point it out, they demand you save them from the smoke. Since when did setting healthy boundaries become a personal attack on their character and worth? Normal people are capable of hearing they hurt someone without falling apart or making it about themselves. Healthy individuals listen and take responsibility rather than using their emotions as a defensive weapon. This victim playing creates a masterclass guilt trip that makes you feel like the actual villain. This tactic often leaves you feeling a sense of isolation, even when you are standing beside them. It is a subtle form of gaslighting that makes you question if your feelings are even valid. Notice how the conversation always shifts from your hurt to their fragile and wounded ego. If you are always the one saying sorry for being hurt, you are witnessing a master manipulator. Recognizing this pattern is the first step toward reclaiming your voice and standing your ground. You deserve to be heard without having to manage someone else's manufactured emotional crisis. Their emotions are their responsibility, especially when those emotions are used to deflect from their actions. Stop letting their tears wash away the truth of how they have treated you in the past. Real love and respect involve listening to your pain, not competing to see who is hurting more. But they don't just use tears and anger. Sometimes they use kindness as a weapon. Have you ever heard the words "you re just too sensitive" right after someone hurt your feelings? This common phrase is a weapon of gaslighting, turning your empathy into a supposed character flaw. It shifts the focus from their harmful behavior onto your supposedly flawed emotional reaction instead. When they label you as oversensitive, they are building a defensive shield to avoid any accountability. From backhanded compliments to blatant manipulation, these tactics are all designed to keep you off balance. Instead of addressing your pain, the manipulator uses this label to invalidate your very real boundaries. They want you to doubt your own instincts, creating a sense of isolation from your own truth. This psychological trick is designed to make you feel like the problem is within your mind. Suddenly, you are the one apologizing for being upset rather than receiving the apology you deserve. This is the essence of victim playing, where the person who caused the harm becomes the victim. Manipulators avoid responsibility by crying, getting angry, or claiming you always think the worst of them. They use these intense emotional outbursts to force you to drop the subject entirely. This defensive drama is a common shield used to protect their ego from any real criticism. This guilt trip uses your own kindness against you, making you feel responsible for their outburst. By making themselves the center of the drama, they successfully derail any productive or honest conversation. Their refusal to take responsibility is a clear sign that they prioritize control over your emotional well-being. You start walking on eggshells, fearing that any honest feedback will trigger another explosive episode. This environment of fear is exactly what they need to keep you compliant and under their thumb. Now, let's contrast this chaotic behavior with how a healthy person handles constructive criticism. Normal people are capable of hearing that they hurt someone without falling apart or becoming defensive. Healthy people don't try to make your pain about themselves or flip the narrative to gain sympathy. A mature individual listens, reflects on their actions, and acknowledges the impact they had on you. They respect your boundaries because they value the relationship more than their own fragile ego. If someone cannot hear "you hurt me" without attacking you, then they are likely manipulating you. Recognizing this pattern is the first step toward breaking free from their cycle of emotional control. You are not too sensitive for having feelings. You are simply reacting to genuine psychological mistreatment. Stop accepting the blame for their inability to handle the truth about their own harmful actions. Hold your ground and remember that your perspective is valid regardless of their defensive theatrics. Protecting yourself means seeing their sensitivity shield for what it truly is, a desperate manipulation. Understanding this contrast allows you to reclaim your reality and set the firm boundaries you deserve. If you feel insulted after being complimented, you are not being too sensitive, you are being targeted. Like a guilt trip, trick 4 is the specific compliment that leaves a deep sting after it is delivered. It sounds like praise to the casual observer, but it feels like a sharp slap to you. Think of a backhanded compliment as an insult wearing a tuxedo, hiding its true and ugly intentions. This manipulation tactic uses praise to deliver a hidden jab, effectively disguising a cruel insult as something nice. This is the classic backhanded compliment, a verbal weapon designed to confuse your perception of the speaker. If it was really a sincere compliment, why do you suddenly feel the need to defend yourself? Do you find yourself making excuses for them, saying at least they said something nice to me? Remember that normal, healthy people give compliments that simply make the recipient feel good and truly appreciated. Genuine praise does not come with a hidden cost or leave you questioning your worth afterward. These subtle, hidden insults are carefully calculated to chip away at your confidence slowly over time. Each comment acts like a drop of acid, eating through your self-esteem until you feel completely hollow. By chipping away at your sense of self, the manipulator creates a subtle and dangerous sense of isolation. They want you to stay off balance, unsure of whether you are being celebrated or secretly mocked. This confusion is the point, making you more susceptible to their influence and further gaslighting attempts. Over weeks and months, these tiny jabs accumulate into a massive wall of self-doubt and personal insecurity. These hidden jabs are often delivered with a smile, making the insult even harder to initially identify. Listen to your intuition when their praise feels like manipulation or a subtle form of victim playing. Recognizing these hidden insults is the first step in protecting your boundaries and reclaiming your stolen confidence. Once they have successfully chipped away your confidence, they move toward the final and most dangerous stage. This is the endgame, the final trick designed to lock you away in a mental cage. Everything we have discussed leads to this moment of absolute psychological and physical isolation. Trick 5 is the most dangerous because it ensures that no one else can help you. It begins quietly, like a slow fog rolling in to separate you from those you love. Why is it that they suddenly seem to have a major problem with your closest friends? You might notice them pointing out every small flaw or mistake your family members ever make. They start by subtly criticizing your best friend, planting seeds of doubt in your mind. Soon, they are manufacturing reasons for you to avoid the people who have always supported you. Is this behavior truly about protecting you, or are they slowly building a wall around you? Every manipulator knows that their power depends entirely on being the only voice you hear. They use isolation to trap you, removing the safety nets that would otherwise catch you. Once your friends are gone, the manipulator establishes total control over every aspect of your life. Without a healthy outside perspective, your sense of reality begins to bend to their will. They need to ensure that no one else is there to point out their toxic behavior. Think of isolation as a prison wall that keeps the truth from reaching your ears. If you are alone, you are much easier to manage, influence, and ultimately break down. They fear your family because those people know the real you before the manipulation began. By cutting those ties, they effectively silence the voices of reason that would call them out. You might feel like you are being protected, but you are actually being systematically kidnapped. This isolation prevents you from seeing the gaslighting and victim playing for what they are. When you are cut off, the manipulator's twisted version of the truth becomes your only reality. It is a calculated move to keep you from realizing that you are being targeted. Every backhanded compliment and guilt trip works better when there is nobody to defend you. The trap is finally set, but here is the part they do not want you to know. Even when you feel most alone, you still have the power to walk out. Recognizing this isolation is the first step toward tearing down the walls of their cage. Do not let them turn your world into a room where only their voice is allowed. You have the right to your boundaries and the right to keep your loved ones close. You have seen the complex game they play, but now you will learn how to win. Stop explaining yourself immediately because you are not on trial and they are not your judge. What happens to a manipulator when you finally stop explaining the reasoning behind your firm no? Manipulators constantly push and poke to make you explain or defend your choice to set boundaries. They want you to justify your decisions so they can find a crack in your logical armor. When you provide a reason, you are actually giving them the keys to your personal house. However, saying, "I can't," without any further detail is like changing the locks on your door. Strong people understand that they can say no without providing any explanation to those who ask. You do not owe anyone a map of your boundaries or a justification for your own peace. It is time to use the two most powerful words in the English language to reclaim control. The specific phrase "I can't" consists of exactly two words that can end any manipulative cycle. When you stop accepting the heavy burden of guilt for having boundaries, the manipulator loses everything. They thrive on your desire to be understood, but your silence is actually your most effective weapon. Refusing to play their game means you no longer react to every backhanded compliment or toxic jab. Stop playing into their victim playing and refuse to be the defendant in their imaginary courtroom. Every time you stand firm without justifying your needs, you reclaim a piece of your inner strength. A manipulator's influence depends on you feeling a sense of guilt trip for simply protecting your boundaries. When you stop accepting that manufactured guilt, you strip away the only power they ever truly held. You are finally walking away from the isolation and leaving the judge to scream at an empty room. This mindset shift is the ultimate shield against gaslighting and every other trick in their broken playbook. Have you ever felt trapped by a manipulator's relentless demands and heavy guilt trips? You need a tool so simple and solid that no amount of gaslighting can break it. That tool is the ultimate two-word shield that puts an immediate end to their games. It is time to learn the incredible power hidden within the simple phrase, "I can't." As we just discussed, the phrase "I can't" consists of exactly two short and sharp words. While it sounds basic, these two words act as an impenetrable fortress for your personal boundaries. When you say "I can't," you are not opening a negotiation or asking for permission. Manipulators thrive on your need to explain yourself, using your reasons as weapons against you. They will take every justification you provide and twist it into a new psychological guilt trip. By removing the explanation, you deprive them of the leverage they need to control your choices. Truly strong people understand that saying "I can't" requires absolutely no further explanation to be valid. This refusal to justify yourself is the moment you reclaim the power they stole from you. Remember that manipulators lose all their power once you stop accepting guilt for having healthy boundaries. They expect you to defend your position, but "I can't" offers them nothing to attack. It is a closed door that stops them from using victim playing or a backhanded compliment. You might worry about appearing rude, but your mental peace is far more important than their opinion. If they try to push further, simply repeat the phrase without adding a single extra word. This consistency breaks their rhythm and shows them that their old tricks no longer have impact. You are finally learning to stand firm in your truth without feeling the need to apologize. Every time you use this shield, you reinforce your strength and protect yourself from further isolation. This is not just a phrase. It is your declaration of independence from their emotional control. Practice saying it aloud until the words feel natural, firm, and entirely your own today. Stop giving them the map to your heart and start protecting your time with conviction. You deserve to live a life free from the constant pressure of someone else's manipulation. This shield is your first step toward a future defined by clarity, confidence, and internal peace. Imagine waking up and not having to guess what mood someone else is in today. This profound sense of relief is what waits for you on the other side of no. You have unmasked the gaslighting and the guilt trips that once kept your mind in turmoil. Now it is time to embrace the mental health benefits of reclaiming your own personal reality. Removing manipulators from your life leads to a massive gain in peace, clarity, and freedom. Think of all the energy you spend managing their emotions instead of focusing on yourself. When the manipulation stops, the fog of confusion clears, leaving room for your own true voice. Living without a manipulator is like finally stepping out of a storm into a quiet room. You no longer have to defend your character against the sting of a backhanded compliment. The isolation they forced upon you is breaking, allowing you to reconnect with the world again. You are finally learning that you were never the problem, despite their constant victim playing. Can you feel the heavy weight of their demands finally lifting off your heart and mind? What would you do with all the energy you currently spend managing their difficult emotions? This new clarity allows you to set boundaries that protect your spirit from future emotional harm. Your mental health flourishes when you are no longer trapped in someone else's exhausting games. Freedom means never having to apologize for things you did not do just to keep peace. You are stepping into a future where your perspective is finally valid and deeply respected. The silence that follows their departure is not empty. It is filled with your own healing. Trusting yourself again is the ultimate victory over the tricks that once made you doubt everything. Your peace is worth the discomfort of their reaction as you walk toward your new life. Every step you take away from their control is a step toward your own happiness. Stand tall in your new clarity because you finally possess the keys to your emotional freedom. You have the tools now to navigate any storm with newfound clarity and strength. Are you finally ready to stop being their target and start being your own hero? You have spent too long trapped in a cycle of gaslighting and psychological confusion. No more waking up wondering which version of someone else you will face today. You now recognize every hidden guilt trip and every subtle attempt at social isolation. That backhanded compliment no longer stings because you see the manipulation for what it is. Setting firm boundaries isn't a betrayal. It is the ultimate act of self-respect and survival. Will you choose your own peace today or let someone else dictate your worth? The path ahead is clear, and the heavy fog of victim playing has finally lifted. Subscribing to this channel is like adding armor to your mental health every single week. Join our community to ensure you never have to face these mind games alone again. We are building a life where clarity and truth are your strongest daily allies. Remember the 5 tricks we uncovered and never let them take your power again. Imagine a future where you are the sole architect of your own emotional well-being. You deserve a life defined by genuine connection rather than calculated psychological control. It takes massive courage to walk away from the familiar patterns of toxic influence. But within that courage lies the total freedom you have been searching for all along. Hit the subscribe button to continue your journey toward a stronger version of yourself. Your peace of mind is worth more than any manipulator's false or fleeting approval. Step forward today into the light of clarity and reclaim the life you deserve. Stay vigilant and stay strong, because your journey to a healthier life starts right now. Thank you for watching, and we will see you in the next empowering lesson.